Oh, yeah. Friends of the internet, Mark with Holes in My Socks, Cardivox Academy here, and today we're doing our Patreon pick. Every month, our patrons get to nominate and vote on a video, a song for me to react to, and today, it's Fit For An Autopsy, Far From Heaven. Now, in my infinite wisdom, I actually recorded this video like 3 days ago, and then when I was cleaning up my files, I deleted it. So this is a redo. So I've heard this song before at this time. I don't know if that matters to you. If it does, I don't know, figure it out. You'll be fine. Anyways, we're checking out Fit For An Autopsy, Far From Heaven, and I'm very excited because not only is Fit For An Autopsy a great band, and now that I've heard this song, it's a freaking awesome song, right? Number two, Joe is just a rad dude, right? And it's always cool when the people who make the music are also cool people, right? He used to live near here. We actually tried to record a reaction video here, but I messed up the audio. You can sense a trend with my technological savvy. And we weren't able to actually do it. We weren't able to actually utilize any of the footage. But if you're new to the channel, my name is Mark. I am a metal vocalist myself. I'm in a band called Kardashev. Was also in two projects called Never Breath and Viramia. And I'm also a vocal coach. This is what I do for a living. I teach people how to make all these crazy, awesome metal sounds. So what we do is we take the reaction format, we break down, we make it as fun as we can while also keeping it educational. And I tell you what these people are doing, or if I'm not sure, my best guess, because sometimes I get stumped. It happens. Now, if you enjoy the content, please be sure to like, share, and subscribe. It means a lot. Love seeing the channel grow. If something was helpful to you, please be sure to leave it in the comments below as well. Appreciate y'all there. Oh, and if you super love the content, check us out on Patreon. We have events every Friday night, every second and fourth Sunday. We have vocalist themes events. We have we have karaoke events and stuff. It's a lot of fun. So check it out if you like the content. Beyond that, I think that's enough hootenanny from me. So let's check out Fit For An Autopsy, Far From Heaven. Let's go. All right, we made it past the 40-second mark. If you know, you know. Usually we stop at the 40-second mark. Just the math works out that way. But a couple really cool things I want to talk about here. So at the beginning, we have this really nice, really relaxed sort of forward section where he's singing. I think the lyrics are, I saw the falling stars descending to the sea. And if I believe, if my memory serves, he is rocking, starting that on F3, right? And so it's very forward, it's very relaxed. Hey, I saw the falling stars descend into the sea, right? So it's just very, almost like spoken. I saw the falling stars. But behind that, farther back, is what sounds to me like an octave above. Ooh, up there, right? So he's singing really nice cleans. That falsetto behind gives that singing section a really nice chorus effect, I guess you could say. It makes it bigger. It makes it more present. Now, I don't do a lot of audio production. I don't record my own vocals, really. I've always had people do that for me because I don't know how to do it. But it's a really common thing that you can do. And pay attention to this later because it's going to come up. It's going to come up later in the song, right? But we have the nice forward, comfortable chest voice. Then we've got this higher falsetto sound in the back, creating a nice thick ambient layer. Now, boom, We get to some awesome screaming. And one of the things I like about Joe's voice a lot, one of my favorite things that I like about his voice is that he really owns the mid-range. You know, I feel like a lot of times, and this was my idea, or not my idea, but this is my conception of metal vocals when I started teaching myself, and it kind of hurt me a little bit as far as progress is concerned way back in the day. But I feel like a lot of deathcore is all about lows and highs, lows and highs, lows and highs. How much contrast can I create between my in my range, right? And that's cool. There's nothing wrong with that. But the mid-range is so cool. And a lot of people, I think, when they start to learn, this is what I did that I was talking about, is I thought I had to have super lows and super low lows and super crazy high vocals. What this did is when I started to actually learn mids, I struggled, right? I struggled back in the day. And Joe, he has a voice that's very he's very able to keep his voice forward and powerful while also retaining a lot of roundness and a lot of body, a lot of aggression to the sound. When he was here before, you would have been able to hear this if the video worked. But when he was here before, he showed me kind of how he ramps into it, and it's really interesting. So he takes kind of like a low, like grumble. It sounded kind of like an old man grumble. He was like, and then he took that, leaned into the distortion. He had a little bit more airflow, and it created this really awesome roaring tone, right? And he's got that here. Now we're going to talk about the way he utilizes timbre. We're going to talk about the way he changes articulation to add nuance to the fact that he's, for a good portion of the song, not the whole thing, but for a good portion of the song, using a lot of mid vocals. He's not monotone. There's a lot of interesting stuff going on here. We're going to talk about mouth shape. We're going to talk about airflow management, but let's go ahead and keep going because there's a lot of cool stuff coming up here. You'll find out. So this section is really awesome because it shows all of the stuff that he's doing right kind of in the forefront of his technique. So one thing you'll probably notice is that he's sort of bouncing through the song and he's using a lot of intermittent quick sections, right? If I have the lyrics proper, he says, "Never forget a life of regret leaves one dehumanized," right? Da 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 da. And a lot of my students, they'll actually use songs from this album as an example of what they want to do. And when they talk about it, they're like, "I love this quick succession of vocals. When I try to do my vocals, I can hold a tone really well, but when I try to articulate, it all falls apart," right? I hear that a lot. And what that tells me 9 times out of 10 is that they are doing something wrong with their breath support. Either they're dumping a lot of air into their mouth on their consonants, right? So rather than, like, you know, if I was to say what's a good set of syllables? Ba 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 ba, right? Right? What a lot of people do is they'll let a lot of air build up behind their lips, and it causes a lot of pressure, very difficult. Or what they're doing is they're just flexing their abs. They're not actually squeezing their abdomen. And there's a very big difference between like flexing to take a punch, right? If I just stand here, hey, and I flex to take a punch, hey, not a lot happens. But if I hold my ribs out and I use my abdominal muscles, I use my core to squeeze, right, to actually start this mystery. It's not a mystery. That is breath support, right? What we'll hear is a change in the voice, right? Hey, 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 hey. And it looks different too, right? So here's just a flex. Hey, you can see it. There's barely any difference versus squeezing. I'm bringing the abdominal muscles kind of in and upwards. I'm feeling downward pelvic floor sensation. I'm holding my ribs out. Looks more like this. Hey, 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 hey. that is going to create a very even stream of air, a very reliable stream of air that's going to sort of escape our body on its own because there's a little bit more pressure in our lungs. Not much. There's more pressure in our lungs than there is out around us, right? There's a lot more to exhaling than this, but it's a good way for us to just kind of start thinking about it. So we can take this, and if you, like me, watched the Melissa Cross DVDs way back in the day, you'll remember like monolo, manili, minili, monolo, poptica, peptica, peeptica, poptica, like these sounds that she talked about. And you can start doing more rapid fire sentences, right? A life of regret leaves one dehumanized. I don't know if those are the actual lyrics, but I'll just talk about that. Nay, say, a life of regret leaves one dehumanized. Right? So it was just a steady stream of air. Right? And just letting it release, squeezing and letting it release. Another thing I really liked about what he did here was we had this crescendo at the end. And oftentimes what will happen is when we have a vowel as the onset of a word, we'll run into what's called a glottal onset. Right? A glottal onset is when your vocal anatomy closes, airflow builds up behind it, and then it sort of pops open. Now, this on its own is not a big deal, right? However, if we overuse it and if we build up a lot of too much subglottal pressure, so pressure underneath the vocal folds, false chords, the glottal area itself, right? Subglottal, under the glottis. If we build up a lot of that pressure, it's going to sort of push the vocal folds open, push the vocal anatomy open, and it's going to be very tiring, and it is a way that we get vocal damage. Now, there are different onsets we can do, right? There's the aspirate onset, which you get at the beginning of like hello, hungry, help, hi, where we get airflow first, then the vocal anatomy sort of closes around it. Hi, hello, but that can be difficult to manage as well. So then we have what you can call a mixed onset. This is what you have at like yellow, run, weather, lullaby. He uses almost like a buh. If he does it again, I'll pay closer attention because I didn't notice this my first run through. But he does like this crescendo, this like, and it sounds like he puts a B at the beginning, and that creates a really smooth sensation. Like if I was to give like a hard glottal onset, which I'm not going to do because it's not good for you, I would feel that sort of boom in my throat. Right here where my vocal cords are, right? Now, if I do this buh, 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 I don't get any of that at all, right? So gentle onsets to our vocalizations are a really important thing for us as vocalists to understand. When we are screaming, leaning into it versus smacking the door down is a very important thing. You know, sometimes people will say like, my technique is perfect. I know I'm breathing well. I've, done like classical training and I've been doing this distortion for so long and my resonance feels great. I know my neck is relaxed. Why do I always feel so sore after the third or fourth song? Might be one thing you may want to look into is your onsets. Are you starting every vowel with That could be the cause. Anyways, let's keep going. There's more to talk about, of course. Oh, yeah. Okay, I know I was just talking, but this is a really cool bit of songwriting that I wanted to talk about. So at the beginning, remember he was chilling. I saw the fallen stars descend into the sea. And then he had the higher section in the back. Now his mid, right? His I saw the fallen stars, right? That's taking the place, I should say, of that lower voice, right? Because the song is more powerful now, so we want to add more power to it. You don't always have to, but it's a very good way to follow the song, right? Song gets aggressive, we get aggressive, right? Not always, but he is using his scream to take the place of the lower singing that he was doing in the beginning. Now he's actually using, I saw the falling stars descend into the sea. Right now he's using more of a full voice sound rather than that light airy falsetto. He's got like that, hey, hey, right? That full voice. It's still mixed basically the same way as far as I can tell. So we've got the same idea, the same philosophy maybe, that he used at the beginning, bringing it back, adding aggression, making the whole thing weightier. I just thought that was really cool. I thought that was really neat. Rather than completely reworking it, he just says, okay, how can I take something light and make it heavy? How can I add weight to my voice and thus add weight to the song? Very cool. Something to think about. Let's keep going. Okay, so we're getting to that chorus again. This is a really cool way to talk about what I was mentioning earlier, where even though he's staying very much in the mid-range, there's nothing monotone about it. He's bringing in a lot of nuance. So he'll have like a bright, very almost, it's funny to call metal screaming, metal vocals light, but they can sound kind of light, right? So he's got more of his light like, right? He's worked a lot more on this scream than I have. He's way better than me at it, right? So he's got that wide open sound, and then he'll sort of drop his jaw, curl his lips, bring up his tongue a little bit, at least that's what it sounds like to me, and that same sound becomes parasite, right? So the intermittent interjections that he's doing have a lot of beef, had a lot of thickness to them, right? And basically what we're doing is we're just creating more space in the mouth. We're making the sound waves sort of stay inside the mouth for longer, and that makes the scream sound lower, right? One thing I talk about a lot is that you don't have to shove your larynx down to get low tones. I do want to make a point of clarification here, because somebody pointed out to me in a lesson, they were like, oh, I know, one of my students was like, oh, I know you say that your larynx should never move. That's not what I'm saying. Okay, let me clarify what I mean here. Oftentimes in my videos, I'll say you don't need to pull your larynx down to get a low tone. I mean that very literally. Like if you're taking your larynx and you're like unnaturally dropping it down, using your muscles to force that sucker down into the bottom of your throat, you don't need to do that. Now, when we scream and when we sing, is there a natural and relaxed movement of the larynx? Absolutely. Absolutely. So if you're like at home and your larynx is moving a little bit, if you do a low, and part of the way that you do a low is you relax your throat, and so your larynx does drop a little bit, I'm not saying like you're doing it wrong. I'm saying like, you know, a good example is like if I wave at you, my shoulder moves a little, but I don't wave to you from my shoulder, right? So if we're like trying to do our lows like, that's not necessary. We have so much room in our mouth. Like I talked about this in another video. I don't remember which one it was, but if I take like any note, hey, it's the same pitch, but the second one sounds lower, right? I'm manipulating the formant. I'm manipulating the frequencies that are in my mouth, boosting the low end, or I should maybe say isolating the low end is maybe a better way to put it, right? And that creates the sense of a lower tone, right? So if I take a mid and I do these techniques, right? Either you can pucker your lips or you can curl them, right? Both sound pretty cool. There's a little bit of a difference, right? But if I curl my lips in, drop my jaw, curl my tongue, you can hear I'm not moving the scream. I'm not doing anything different, just changing the shape of my mouth. I don't know why I'm having so much trouble speaking today. Anyway, he's doing a lot of that here. It's awesome. I really enjoy it. Let's keep going. So I'm going to pause it here because there's cool vocal stuff to talk about, but also like I'm so bummed I deleted the first video because I thought the song was over at this point and it wasn't, and like I was not prepared for it. So shucks. Now here Joe is really going into a high range, and his highs, especially here, sound much more Fry influenced, right? When I'm doing, and you know, this is something that I'll be honest, is a little bit speculative on my part. You know, I know that eventually the Charismatic Voice is going to be releasing a laryngoscopy of Will Ramos doing some vocals. That'll probably give us a lot of insight. But there are also other videos of metal laryngoscopies around, though they may not be as in-depth as what we're going to see. But when I get to this sound, and when Joe and I were chilling here, and I was like, picking his brain, when I'm here, again, his is much more trained than mine because I don't use that a lot in the music that I do in Kardashev. But when I do this, if I slow that down, right, it has a very sort of like orc noise. I talk with my students a lot about this. The hey, okie dokie, work, right? We can take that sound and we can use it, and that's how I create a lot of my lows, right? So a lot of times people will say like, we'll hear this sound and they'll be like, that's pure Fry. I'm not so sure. I'm thinking like maybe there's a realm of distortion where we're using a higher sound that sounds a lot like Fry, but if I do this, that's not the same mechanism that creates a Fry tone, right? Like I've been doing these sounds for a while, and my knowledge is, I'm a human. I don't know everything. But if I actually utilize they're in very different places. They feel very different to activate. And so if I take this, right, it creates like those really deep, rich low tones. So I know I'm off on a little bit of a tangent, but here's where I'm going with this. When and we didn't talk about Joe's highs very much when he was here, unfortunately. Maybe we'll get another co-reaction going. It'll have to be with him on a webcam, but it'll still be cool. Anyway, so this sound he's getting, he's kind of revving up. It feels a lot like what I do, just with more airflow and a faster engagement, right? Now his high vocals, those to me do sound pretty solid Fry influence, right? And that's a thing that can cause some misconception. Sometimes, new vocalists or people who are new to metal vocals will think all highs are Fry and all lows are false chord. It's definitely not true. But in this case, the highs are really open, really nice, really relaxed Fry tone. And that's something that's really important. Oftentimes when people try to do Fry vocals, they'll squeeze their vocal folds together super hard, and they'll just push on that. Don't do that. Fry is a behavior of the vocal folds, right? The vocal folds are sort of vibrating at a different frequency, you can say. There's a little bit more of an open phase that's happening right along the edge of our vocal folds. And when we lean on that sound, then we start to get more of what's considered like a standard Fry tone, right? Anyways, I don't want to get off too much on a tangent on that, but him passing back and forth between those higher Fry tones and those lower tones that to me sound like an arytenoidal sound with some false chord or Fry mixed into it. Could be. We'll see. But yeah, this outro is awesome. Let's check this out. Let me go back. My only gripe is I wish that outro had gone on longer. But that's just kind of me. I love outros that last, for 5 minutes. And I know that I'm not the majority with that opinion. But it's an amazing outro. So I want to kind of wrap up with everything I was talking about here. So some of the main things I want you to take away. Number one, when it comes to the songwriting, especially from a vocal perspective in this song, I think it's really well done. I think it's very powerful. I love the utilization of clean singing at the beginning and then mirroring that clean singing for the choruses throughout the song, utilizing the scream rather than the clean voice. Instead of using the falsetto that we had at the beginning, using a full voice, hitting the same notes. Awesome. Love that. By the way, if you're looking to sing some higher notes, right? If you're looking to be a little bit more comfortable around your break and get over your break, one way that you can do that, right? There are different ways. I mean, you can obviously just switch. Ooh, right? You can do that. That works, right? And I'm going to be fully transparent. My lesson volume this month has been insanely high, so my voice is tired. So if you if you want better sounding, clearer examples of how this works, feel free to check out my other videos. But yeah, my voice has been in the gym a little too long this last couple weeks, so I'm feeling it for sure. You can have the best technique in the world, but overuse is overuse, right? And unfortunately, I overbooked, which causes overuse. But anyway, one thing you can do is you can think about what it feels like to gently call out to a friend, to say like, hey, Johnny, hey, Pete, hey, Timmy, hey, right? Now, that will allow me to kind of feel what it's like to be relaxed. I do think that before you start doing this, you should get comfortable just singing normally in your chest voice, doing simple stuff, right? Singing, you can start off with nursery rhymes, right? Row, row, row your boat gently down the stream. Merrily, 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 life is but a dream. Then move on to some other stuff, ain't no sunshine when she's gone. It's not warm when she's away. Then once you're really comfortable in your chest voice, right? Once you're really comfortable in that tessitura, that comfort zone, then, in my opinion, start thinking about working on other areas, right? So we can take our voice, we can, hey, yo way, right? We can jump a fifth and then descend, yo way. That'll get us comfortable, slowly moving our voice upwards, right? You want to go slow. You want to keep it even. You want to keep it steady. And then just find your vocal break where it wants to flip. Ooh, that break over that bridge, over that passaggio. Think about just approaching it. Don't try to get over it right away. Take your time, right? Take your time. Maybe I should do a video just on that. I don't know. The second thing, well, maybe this is the third thing, is that a lot of the vocals that we do come from a space of relaxation, right? In this video, even though when we do metal vocals, we do have moments of strategic engagement, right? Like if I was to say that when I do this noise, pardon me, a little burpee. If I was to say that when I do this noise or this noise, that I'm fully open and relaxed, that would not be true. I would be lying to you. However, the space around my glottis is open, relaxed, and steady. Any sort of engagement I need to make is going to be happening up here, up top. Now, there are times when the arytenoids can close over the vocal anatomy. There are videos of this. Someday, when I have time, I've been wanting to do this for years. I'll get scoped and peeked at as well, and I'll show all of you, right? But we can have moments of that. However, it's a very strategic thing, and it's a strength-based thing, right? When we're using our voice, we're using muscles, and so we need to build those muscles over time. So, you can start with just like your basic false chord grunt, very open, very relaxed. Hey. Hey, E-I, right? Make it a little bit higher. That's really just a shift of resonance and airflow. That's about all that is, right? Start there. Keep it simple. Then start doing, the stuff that's a little bit more acrobatic, a little bit more athletic. Anyways, I'm ranting a little bit because that's what I do. I go off on tangents when I talk about things I'm excited about. And then finally, I don't remember what my last point was. But anyway, Thank you all for watching this video. I greatly appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed Fit for an Autopsy, Far From Heaven as much as I did. If you see them on tour, say hello. And beyond that, I appreciate your time. Thanks for hanging out with us today. Thanks for checking out the content. If you liked it, like, share, and subscribe. Check us out on Patreon. If you want some help making like types of vocals, feel free to email me using the email below. And beyond that, many thanks, much love. I'm out.